Who are you?
You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Oh.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you. I love you.
Slowly, I opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at the clock. 7 a.m. Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to get back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It was too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. I do not know why you would have a fireplace in your room. That is the weirdest fucking thing you could ever have in your room. Probably not the weirdest, but it is pretty odd to have a fireplace in your room. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do about 7 in the morning? Explore the house. I decided it was a good idea to wander around the house. I never really explored it much as a child, so there was bound to be new surprises. Well, come on, feet. Let's go on an adventure. I stood and exited my room, hoping the boys were still asleep. I began to wander the halls on my end of the house, opening each door to find out what room each door led to. Quickly, I found an old office. A desk and chair sat beside the far side as a large bookshelf of documents, memorabilia, adorned its nooks and crannies. There was a couple of pictures of me growing up peeking up from the shelf as I walked further into the room. I don't believe I've been in here before. I tried to recall memories of ever seeing this room. Coming up with nothing as a result, this room was new to me. Did I want to disturb its furniture? Did I want to disturb the furniture? I'm curious. Gently, I opened the shelves and any drawers I saw in the room. And a couple of them were books and even a sewing kit. I assume they were used for my grandfather's toys. So I left them alone. One drawer, however, was locked, no matter how many times I pulled it. Grr, come on, open. Nothing. It wouldn't budge. The door beside it, though, did reveal a laptop. Why is there a laptop in a drawer? I lifted it from the drawer and carried it to the desk and chair. Opening it, it was a high-tech laptop that retained a scanner as a padlock. I'm not sure whether or not to try to unlock it or not. Try. I decided to try. I turned on the computer and laid my face near the retina scanner, leaning the camera up with my eye. To my surprise, I heard a ping come from the laptop before the screen opened to the desktop. Huh, look at that. On the desktop, there were documents and folders labeled with different aspects of the Anderson Company. Taxes, profiles, bylaws, products. The list went on and on. If I really did want to become the CEO of the Anderson Company, I had everything about it at my fingertips. Dad sure would be impressed. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Vrago? I double-click on the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click. come from the drawer that was locked. What the? Slowly, I left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid open smoothly in the direction of my pulled hand, revealing 2 books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took out the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my grandfather's notes. They were all detailed explanations and opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down at the desk and read through the journal further, finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magic circles, each of their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There was even a page of important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them in my mind. I didn't know what came over me, but I started to feel more energetic and more powerful simply reading my grandfather's notes. Suddenly, I was aware of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze, and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back and closing the drawer. The lock resetting, and I snapped out of it. Huh? What? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I had done. I walked over to the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop. Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more than I already had. I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts for now. Eventually, I would come back and look into it. Okay. This is different. Because if I'm correct, then that means one of the boys is going to come to save us. But I'm pretty sure in the standalone route, it's not like that at all. Like, you're able to just open it and start reading and, like, choose the book and stuff. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday, and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes. Back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breaths. I looked at the clock time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had to sleep for much longer. Why was time going so slowly? I sighed at... The fuck is that sound? Something outside is going woo 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 woo. Anyways, I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went to the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, a muffled sound of a battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out back in response to the noise I heard. In the yard were all 5 boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle with the other 4 surrounding him, throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. I'm not going to disturb them. I just watched. The boys were very much into their own world, focusing on the training they all were in. It was better to not disturb them. I checked the time and decided to head into the kitchen. I was getting hungry, and I'm sure the boys would need to eat soon, so lunch was a must. Oh? Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make... I'm more likely to make this than a sandwich. Gotta keep their energy and strength up with protein. I took my time to make almost perfect chicken breast alongside some rice. Cooking wasn't hard unless you didn't know what you were doing in the first place. Especially if you have a rice cooker. Ugh. Rice cookers are so amazing. I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried the dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separately in different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focused on training. Find one of the incubi. Quickly, I rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I walked through each hall trying to find one of the incubi, wondering so that I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursed my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? I sighed, knowing that I would have to search for them in each room. I quickly turned and headed upstairs. I began walking down the hall and opened a random room, peeking inside. Luckily enough, I found Damon in the study. Damon was in grandfather's study, which I had explored not long ago. Despite only being here for a short while, Damon looked like he knew this room from the back of his hand. Damon was gazing at the pictures and books on the shelf, almost lost and dazed. It was almost adorable, but I could sense that there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. Damon?
Huh? Oh, hello.
Hi. Damon turned to me and gave me a gentle smile, as if he was doing nothing as I came in. I entered the room and closed the door behind me.
I was just looking at the books. They're very interesting topics.
Agreed. Huh? I look over at the shelf and skimmed over the spines of each book. They were all books about business and psychology, all ranging in thickness. Some crossed over and brought the two topics together, while others were strictly one or the other. Did my grandfather read and study all of these? They seemed used, but they were covered by a small layer of dust.
Do humans really study this much?
Occasionally. It depends on what it depends on why we are studying.
What do you mean?
Well, if we were interested in a topic like business, we learned what we can. We learn what we can because we want to know more.
Are there things you can't study?
Nope. There are books and stuff about anything and everything.
Even the demon world?
I don't think so. Maybe, but usually those books are considered fiction or religious theory. It was almost cute to talk about learning with Damon. I guess learning was different in the demon world, but telling him about learning was almost like telling a child the meaning of life. I felt myself becoming a little wiser as we continued talking.
Humans can learn anything? At any time?
Mm-hmm. We have libraries and bookshelf. We have libraries and bookstores full of books we can read.
Humans have the freedom to learn anything.
I look at Damon confused. He seemed to look jealous. What about demons? Can't they learn what they want? Damon shook his head before looking down at his feet.
Demons don't have schools to learn from like humans do. Everything we learn comes from experience or verbal mentoring. Books are only permitted to be read by higher nobles.
I stared wide-eyed. There was no schools in the Abyssal Plains. That seems so unreal, yet in a way I wasn't that surprised.
The only ones who have ever touched a book are James and Eric, since they're the oldest. Sam and Matthew chose not to read.
What about you? Damon stood silent for a bit before sitting on the ground, leaning against the large desk in the room. I decided to follow along and sit beside him.
You brought food?
Oh, he changed the subject. Huh? Oh, yeah, I brought food here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Damon took his dish of food and began to politely eat. I followed suit. It was painfully obvious that he was dodging my question. Did I want to know? I was very curious. Don't ask. He's not talking about it for a reason. Do not ask. Eventually, we both resumed and finished eating. I politely took the dish from Damon and went to the kitchen to wash both our dishes. As I passed the kitchen, I saw the other dishes of food were missing, which made me relieved to know the boys ate. Quickly, I washed the 2 dishes I had before heading to my room. I woke up too early. I could use a nap. As nothing in my mind or body fought back, I quickly slid under the covers and let my body relax. For some reason, it was easy to fall asleep again. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but I still felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, it felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previously rough nights I had. I felt good. I drifted to sleep and woke up almost flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I had got that much good sleep? Me after 12 hours of sleep. Me after 12 plus hours of sleep. I looked to my alarm clock. I woke 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Aren't you getting kidnapped today? Karma owed me some luck. Oh my god. After all I had gone through in a mere handful of days, I deserved some good luck. Goodness. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
You know, that is so nice. They're like, that motherfucker has got to get their own food now. Dang. If we let them ride the bus, they are definitely not gonna have money for food. I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time. 6:30. Perfect. I can get some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs into the kitchen. I quickly made myself coffee and toast, not having time for anything big. I let out a soft sigh in happiness as I sipped my coffee. I felt great, and I felt like nothing could stop me today. Come at me, day. I'm ready for you. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about homework in the coming day. It must be a different day then. Hopefully. We made it into school without a hitch. Our lockers were in the same part of the hall, so we quickly unloaded what we needed to and got our important books and necessities. First incident of the day. As I walked toward Suzu and Naomi, we were both waiting for me on the opposite side of the hall. Something hooked my ankle and made me fall forward. Whoa, ow!
Hey, are you okay? Who did that?
The three of us looked back to see Lisette and her gaggle of girls. Lisette had a look of complete innocence, while the girls around her giggled like no tomorrow.
Why, you little... Suzu, don't!
I felt a giant fire of anger burn in my stomach as I stared at Lucette. Today was not the only time this had happened to me. However, it was now clear who was behind these incidents. Even if she was innocent, one of her goons did it. It was now obvious that Lisette was the mastermind just from the look on her face. She was no friend. She was no friend, nor would she ever be. I had to do something. Glare into her soul. I glared hard at Lisette, feeling a wisp of air and magic run through my skin and veins. However, I stopped at what I saw.
Dear God, it's the beautiful woman behind her.
Around Lisette was a dark purple aura that seemed all too familiar. It was like demon magic, but it seemed to be tamer. I slowly rose to my feet, collected my belongings, and I continued to stare at Lisette. Something was off. As I continued to stare at her, the aura grew, forming a shadow behind Lisette with red eyes, eye-like shapes forming, glowing from within its darkness.
Anderson, you alright?
It couldn't respond. I was entranced by the small hum in the air. It was distant, almost like an ethereal whisper you hear in horror games, but it was real. It sounded vaguely of a woman humming a tune I didn't recognize.
Hey, are you okay?
Let's go. We'll be late for class. I suddenly felt the need to walk away, so I did. Naomi and Suzu scrambled to catch up and follow at my new quickened pace.
Sheesh, Anderson. You look like you saw a ghost. Are you really okay? That fall was pretty bad.
Oh, Naomi.
Think she saw underneath Lisette's cake face and saw the devil itself. Oh, Suzu, hush!
No. There was something wrong with Lisette. It was more than just her being mean. There was something or someone watching over Lisette. Or were they watching me behind Lisette? Oh. Oopsie. Surprisingly, the rest of the day went off without another incident. I went to class, had lunch, and was anxious to get home. As soon as the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. A text from Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. Oh no. I guess that's because I didn't pry. I quickly headed back to get my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah, alright. Even while I laughed, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. If it shows the picture of the woman, I'm gonna go back. And I'll just meet you guys here. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Suzu before heading off to the usual spot where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? That's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number, but as soon as I pressed, it disconnected and read a signal disconnect error message. What the? No signal? How could I have no signal? I double checked my phone and saw I had 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed at my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey.